is an article at practicalselfreliance.com entitled How to Prepare for World War III by Ashley Adamant. And Ashley begins. There's a famous saying attributed to Albert Einstein that more or less sums up the risks associated with the Third World War. I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. With modern weapons arsenals, an all-out global conflict has the potential to be catastrophic. And many of the scenarios, short of all-out nuclear war, are not much better. Assuming that no one wants to go down the road of mutually assured destruction, there will likely be an escalating tension for a long time. In the past 2 years, we have all become acutely aware of how fragile global supply chains really are and continue to be. That's when everyone is still, in theory, playing well together and putting in their best effort to get supplies from point A to point B. If you add in blockades, embargoes, and sanctions to that mix, and even if there's not an actual full-scale world war, we are likely to see food and fuel shortages that are unprecedented in our lifetimes. The added risk of cyber attacks only heightens the fragility of our situation. For now, let's assume massive disruption to daily life, shortages, security threats, and other issues related to a massive global conflict, short of all-out nuclear annihilation. What does the title say? I thought this was about nuclear. Or just how to prepare for the Third World War. Okay. I hope this guy's right. How will World War III be different than World War II? World Wars I and II were fought largely on the ground, in the trenches. The next global conflict is likely to be far less like traditional warfare. The high-tech nature of today's military operations, not to mention the added sophistication of cyber warfare and targeted drone strikes, means that anything is a target. Infrastructure is likely to take a huge hit, especially since it's impossible to disable anything from a power grid to a water treatment facility. It is possible with a cyber attack from thousands of miles away. Even if you are not in an area of active conflict, you should expect global supply chain problems, leading to shortages in every type of manufactured good. Even if we have the ability in theory to produce something, most manufacturing operations outsource components overseas. These critical components, whether they be microchips or valves or 1,000 other things, means there's no finished product. Food and energy shortages, especially in regions with limited domestic production. Gas and fertilizer prices are incredibly volatile, and conflict always shortens supply. Rationing has been necessary for past conflicts, and we've already seen the potential for rationing in care and medicine over the years of the coup. As shortages become more acute, rationing is inevitable in everything from food to energy and medicine, especially since so much of each is produced overseas, especially energy and medicine. Disabled infrastructure, either as a result of cyber attacks or critical parts not available due to supply chain issues. This means anything from electricity, water, and waste treatment to financial systems and hospital infrastructure. The threat of an electromagnetic pulse disabling electronics in a local or regional way is also very real. Well, you get that with nuclear weapons, my friends. Lots of EMPs in a nuclear war. The main difference here is that the potential for extreme disruption in domestic infrastructure, the likes of which were not seen in World War II. Rationing and shortages are to be expected, but the potential for an interruption in basic services, far from a war zone, is very new. Because our supply chains are so long, I guess. We don't depend on our local food producers anymore. The key to weathering any disturbance, no matter how large, is resilience. Building this resilience starts with preparedness. Though it's impossible to say how life will be disrupted, it's inevitable you'll need to improvise to meet your family's needs. The more prepared you are to meet these needs for food, water, energy, health, and security, the more likely you are to survive during and after a conflict. In the short term, just having tools and supplies on hand to get by will allow you to ride over supply chain shortages and keep you both warm and fed if global supplies are hard to come by. In the long term, having a good survival library with plenty of technical books on do-it-yourself skills will be vital for filling in gaps as various services become unavailable. By the way, you can get those a huge survival library at your local Play Store, or if you're on Apple, I have no idea what you get it from, but download them from the people who give you your cell phone applications, your cell phone apps. I got between 20 and 40 of them on here that I've had since the beginning of the COOF. And there's this somebody's survival library. It takes much less space on your phone. And have a phone charger that's solar powered. Get one of those. The potential for massive global famine and food disruptions is very real. That's not just because so much food is imported and exported, but also because so much of food production involves the input of energy. Fertilizers are expensive and energy intensive to make, and if natural gas pipelines are not running, there will not be fertilizers for maintaining modern agricultural production levels. Even if we could ship it, odds are we won't be able to produce it without expensive external inputs that just will not be there. Victory gardens and survival gardens will be important, but it's incredibly difficult to grow all your calories yourself with minimal equipment. It's a lot easier to rely on stored food for bulk calories and then supplement nutritionally with your fresh garden produce. So what should you store? My family stores all of our bulk pantry staples in bulk, including flour, sugar, rice, and dry beans. When packed in 5-gallon buckets and a gamma seal lid and dehydration packets inside. You got to throw some dehydration packets in there. These non-perishables allow us to store an incredible amount of bulk calories in a relatively small amount of space.